Well, Facebook family, YouTube family, social media family, and friends, once again, it is on. We are in the building for another Wellness Wednesday. We are back. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, 100 BLK, the Black Station, and my brother Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices Counseling Services out there in Alcorn. Man, let's
know,
just say this. Our hearts are heavy right now. A lot of folks, a lot of places are suffering. Our hearts go out to all our brothers and sisters who are in Florida and dealing with the
hurricane.
Hurricane Ivan. But we had a tragedy happen on the bluff. So, with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my brother Edward J. Brown. The
It's good
floor
to
is
be here
yours.
with you, my brother. It's good to be here with you. You know, sometimes we get together and we say, well, what is our topic going to be for this Wellness Wednesday? And then most of the time, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Most of the time, the topic chooses itself.
Correct.
And this is one of those times. And it's so many different directions tonight that I can go from, or we can target or look at. But one of the things that I think is absolutely necessary for us to do as a faculty member at Alcorn, and having talked to other faculty members, one of the things that I seem to get a lot of is, what do we do when we feel overwhelmed? When what we're supposed to do is be support. We're supposed to have something to pour from into our students. But what happens when something drains us of all of our energy and we don't feel we have anything left to give? And today, I think that we really, because even myself today, I'm feeling like my needle is on E. You know, and here I am, the professional, the mental health professional, but even I get on E from time to time. So what do you do when that happens? So without making light of a situation, this is the solution, or one of the many solutions. Brother Dupree, I'm gonna go and call you in and pick your brain, because when I say stuff like that, I'm more than sure everybody that's over the age of 40 or 50 can relate to what I'm about to say. You ever remember when you wanted to go somewhere and your friend that had the car said, well, look, y'all gonna have to chip in for gas.
Right.
And you never realize how much 35 cents from this one, 50 cents from that one, 80 cents from this one. When you put it together, you might have $5.
Correct.
And just that little bit from everybody gets all of us where we need to be.
Correct.
Now, that right there in itself is worth an entire show. But I want to say it, as my brother say, for the people in the cheap seats. A little bit from everyone can get all of us where we need to be, including our students.
Right.
We cannot expect one faculty member to have the answer to give all of our students what they need to get through trying times.
Correct.
We cannot expect one faculty member to have everything that another faculty member needs to get through trying times.
Correct.
I'm dealing with a personal, situation in my own family right now. It's we talk about Wellness Wednesday from the mental health perspective, but we've also talked about it from the physical health perspective.
Correct.
And when you look at young brothers in their 20s and 30s and they're being taken out by health issues, for a brother like me with all of the gray hair and the bald, it becomes overwhelming for me.
Correct.
I have young family members that are battling illnesses, and I just say, like, well, what happens? You know, we have to be more attentive to time and opportunities in our lives, because I find us wasting a lot of time on pettiness.
Correct.
This young brother we never thought that we would not be able to talk to this young brother today.
Correct.
We never did. We never, and I'm currently going to different school districts, and I'm starting a new campaign. And Positive Choices is getting ready to begin a new campaign. And the campaign is, don't wait until you're the next one.
Correct.
Take proactive measures. Don't wait because Uvalde didn't think they were next.
Correct.
The theater where the brother just wanted to go see Batman, they never thought they were going to be next.
Correct.
This young brother thought he was going to be here for midterms.
Well, watch this. The thing I just posted was, of course, in Alcorn, the young man that I just posted, number 58, after the game, the night of the game, he lost his mother and his 16-year-old sister in a head-on collision in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So let me put that picture up there where in case people don't know what I'm talking about, let me go ahead and put it up there. There's the young man who plays for Alcorn State. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know why that jumped up there. Hold up. Somebody was trying to do something else with me. Okay, there we go. So this young man here lost his mother and his sister. I mean, that's heavy. That's real heavy. Yes. When I say that's heavy, that affected the whole HBCU family. Because go ahead, brother.
We don't understand the magnitude of time. Now, this young brother is going to be forever impacted in his life. We talk a lot about the importance. People ask me, how do you deal with kids who are disrespectful and how they talk back to their parents? And it's just a matter of putting things in perspective. Brother Dupree, parents are so special that we only get one of each. No matter how many times your mama get married, your daddy get married, you have one mother and one father. Now, we got two sets of grandparents, so that's four. No telling how many aunts and uncles, and we ain't going to talk about cousins. We got so many cousins, we done made up play cousins. But you have one man and one woman that it takes to create you. And if you're blessed, you may have more that is there to raise you. But this young brother will forever be impacted. And we, as faculty, we always say the HBCU experience is a nurturing experience where we take our students and we don't just teach them to be good professionals, we teach them to be good people, good men and women. So now this young brother has had a loss of great magnitude. His mother and his baby sister. How do the team, the university, his community, and more importantly, his family pick up and move forward? It's going to be hard. It's going to be a struggle because the grief process is just that. It's a process. It's stages. And we are going to take this young brother, not just as a university, but as a group of people. I want everybody to find this young brother, if you are within the Alcorn family, and say a kind word to him. To give him your 2 cents to help him on this journey. That's going to be rough. It is. I remember when I found out about it, everyone was like, are you up here on campus for the game? And I was like, no, I'm not coming. And then the next day, my phone is ringing and I'm getting text messages, and they're like, what happened? And I was like, Brother Dupree, what do you mean what happened? They said, you didn't hear about the accident? I was like, no, I didn't hear about the accident. So at that point, I began to fact search, because you get all kinds. Everybody think they know what happened.
Correct.
One of the things as a crisis leader, I always tell my team is make sure we get as much facts as possible. It's going to be an extremely tough journey for him and for us at the Alcorn family, and everyone there knows my services and my heart and me, period, is at their call. So I ask everyone that's watching this podcast from around our HBCU family, because after the whistle blows and the last horn sounds at the football game, we all family. Because I remember all the calls I got after the LSU Southern game. People were like, man, we glad Southern, showed up and the fans showed out. And that came from Grambling-ites, Jacksonians. It came from Algonites. It came from all over. So we're family, and we have to pull together to help this young brother. I think that it's time for us to start being more conscious of the time that we spend in our life. I've had the pleasure to meet some wonderful people, to be absolutely taken by some of the most incredible people I've met in my class, some of the most incredible people I've had an opportunity to work with. And I only look forward to where these relationships go. And me and my faculty members from Alcorn, we're going to do what we can to help this brother and our fellow students. So, it's really a hard time.
And I really want to talk about how we just as one Hillman do stick together. When the water situation happened in Jackson, Mississippi,
that's true.
Many HBCUs, many fraternities, many sororities, many organizations, Masonic organizations, many people came to the aid of J-State with the situation with the brother and the tragedy that happened in Alcorn after the game with his mother and his sister. We're also there to help, to assist, to do all that we can. As this storm makes its way through Florida, it looks like it's going to have a major effect on Daytona Beach and Bethune-Cookman. We're going to be there for them also. And anybody else who is out there, it looks like it's going to make a turn towards South Carolina. South Carolina State may need some help. AT&T may need some help. Central may need some help. Morehouse may need some help. We are there for one another. And right now, if you're dealing with whatever is happening, be it with the storm, be it with depression, be it with situations because, things are happening around you, like the water situation in Jackson. And sometimes this all gets just too heavy for one to bear. If you need someone to talk to, I got it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. PositiveChoicesCounseling.org. Go to that website, reach out to one of these counselors and get some help, because sometimes you need someone to talk to, and we want to talk to you before the weight gets so heavy that you feel like you can't bear it.
And you begin to break. It's amazing. It's easier to, we always use the same analogy. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. However, it's a lot easier when you got a village eating.
Correct.
And right now, what we have to do is somewhere somebody listening to this is in the middle of some pettiness. I hate to say it, but I'm going to just put it out there. There is someone that's going to watch this podcast, someone that's listening to this podcast that is involved in some pettiness. Put that away. Time is the most precious thing that we have. Time is the most precious thing that we can take and utilize productively. If you are still waiting to tell that person you love them, to address that problem that's overwhelming for you, you're waiting to pick up the phone to call a counselor, Positive Choices, or any other service provider, I beg you, sitting right here in front of this PC, to do it now. let go of the pettiness, whatever it is that has you troubled. Tell that person, you know what, it ain't worth it. Call your mother or your sister or your loved one and say, I love you. Well, what's wrong? Nothing. I just thought it was time. There's something I may need to get off my chest. Counseling is the way. I have people that I converse with, and lately there has been kind of like a fresh air, where people come to me and they're able to, especially some of my students, and they say, school is a bit much, but your class and the way we can communicate and exchange and talk is refreshing. And not that they're just wonderful students, but they're wonderful people. We have to make opportunity available for folks to deal with trauma, to deal with issues, just to talk.
Correct.
Brother, do you remember the time you and I met at the little coffee shop and we were going to talk business and about this podcast? And before we know it, we spent the whole time just talking about nothing.
Right. Correct.
Just talking, just getting it out.
Correct.
I think that we have too many folks that don't feel comfortable enough talking to people. We have too many folks that don't feel comfortable enough opening up their heart and their mouths.
Right.
And today, I beg you to stop that.
Come on. Because we all need a little help from our friends.
We all need a little help every now and then.
Come on.
We all need that person, that venue, that thing. I'm a lakefront guy. I love to go to New Orleans, and when I do go home, I always find myself pulling up to the lakefront and just sitting there for an hour or so. Don't need the radio on. Sometimes you just need to unplug. When I travel, sometimes I just want to sit on the cot in front of the water and, have a drink and just listen to the waves, do nothing.
Come on.
Sometimes it's okay to unplug. I stand before you today as a mental health professional, but as a man who's involved in the mental health process. And I say, whatever fear it is you have, whatever sense of apprehension you may have, that little bitty thing that's keeping you from making that call, please, just one call to somebody before things get overwhelming.
Come on.
Just one call. And sometimes now I'm about to tell on some of the experiences that I've had in life. Have you ever, Brother Dupree, and if you haven't, it's no big deal. I think people kind of just can feel what I do and what I am. I got phone calls at least 5-6 times in my life. And the person says, hey, can I speak to Joe? No, I'm sorry, you got the wrong number. Yeah, this Joe number, isn't it? No, it's not Joe number. Well, who is this? Well, it's not Joe. And then the brother told, you know what that brother said?
What?
So what you doing?
Yeah, I've experienced that before.
So what you doing? I said, what you can't help but laugh with a complete stranger. So what you doing? I'm like, well, just got off from work. What you do? You know what I mean? So I kind of say this brother just was calling Joe to talk.
Right. Just needed some conversation.
Yeah, and since Joe wasn't available, you would do,
Right.
You'll do just fine. And we may laugh about it, but you've been in that space before. You don't have to do it. You can pick up the phone. You can go to, our website and you can call the number and someone will be there. I think that we're at the time now, man, where everything is going good. You're so right. People, let me show you how just little things, Bro, let's get into some mental health and show you what we kind of deal with from a professional standpoint.
Come on.
With what's going on in Florida, okay? Florida is hundreds of miles away. Mm-hmm. Whenever there's any sign of a hurricane, do you know the PTSD that comes back up in people from New Orleans? This storm is not coming to Louisiana.
Right.
But the fact that I'm watching the daily news just to see what the scores are going to be, what's happening with the Pelicans or the Saints or whatever, and now I got to hear about a hurricane. There is a sense of trauma that rears its head that if you have not gone through something as severe as Katrina or some of these other storms, you can't understand it. We would not wish it on the worst enemy.
So let me cut in right now.
Sure.
Let me show you how things in life happen. While I'm here scrolling and looking for stuff, and in the background you see where I have the state of Florida saying pray for Florida due to the storm. 38 minutes ago it was released that, you remember Gangster Paradise, don't you?
Coolio
passed away. Coolio passed away.
What?
So at age 59. So our prayers, our condolences to all those who love what I call hip hop. And see,
yes,
this is why we do this podcast.
It is, yes,
because you never know what can happen, when it will happen, or whom it will happen to. We all need someone to talk to. So our prayers, our condolences go out to Coolio, his family, his friends, his fans, all those who know all the great music that he did. And you know, it's times like this, family, you really need to appreciate everything.
Is that right? Because I think they just did, it's some anniversary of that movie earlier this year. Because I remember seeing him and what's the lady that starred in the movie with him? And they talked, it was, I think this year or it was last year was the anniversary, 25 years or something of that movie.
So Coolio, you know, it's just, okay, we got Hurricane Ivan, situation in Alcorn, water not good in Jackson. You know, every day one of us is dealing with something.
Oh, we can keep going on.
Right.
We got money being stolen from the folks in Mississippi.
Now that's what I want to talk about for 1 minute.
We got a coach being
I ain't got time
for the whole year. You know,
I ain't got time to be talking. I want people to talk just as much about Brett Favre and what Brett Favre did to the people of Mississippi as they did Michael Vick, as much as they did as Deshaun Watson. I want them to talk just as much as they do when one of us do something, but you ain't heard a peeping, mumbling word when it comes down to one Brett Favre, because everybody acting like, well, maybe he really didn't do it. You know, I am amazed how we talked about Michael Vick. I'm amazed how we talk about Kaepernick. I'm amazed how we talked about Deshaun Watson, but oh no, we will not talk about Brett Favre.
The coach from Boston, the brother from Boston.
We talking about him. Come on, no. We need to talk about Brett Favre.
You know, it is never a clearer situation of biased media than that.
Come on.
I mean, if that had been, I had a conversation last night with, we have now with the NCAA allowing athletes to make money on their likeness and things like that.
Correct.
Why does Reggie Bush don't have his Heisman Trophy back?
That's what I want to know.
You know, give that brother his high. We got people being released who got little minor marijuana charges in states where marijuana is now legal.
Come on.
These people are being released. Why that brother don't have his Heisman Trophy back?
Come on.
Because he accepted some money from a booster?
Come on.
Okay. Brett Favre took millions of dollars from poor people.
Right.
Michael Vick didn't kill any dogs. He was aware of it. It was going on in his house. He did time in jail.
Correct.
Colin Kaepernick felt injustice was just out of hand and decided he was going to kneel during the national anthem. He didn't slap nobody. He didn't kill nobody. He didn't steal nothing.
Come on.
This brother hadn't gotten a job in the NFL yet. All I'm saying is, if you can't see the bias and the prejudice, it's because you don't want to. Right now, are we talking about let's go to the Hall of Fame and put an asterisk by Brett Favre's name? There's talking about there's going to be an asterisk by Barry Bonds' name because it's suspected he used performance-enhancing drugs.
Come on.
So I think we should put an asterisk by Brett Favre's Heisman. I mean his Hall of Fame bus that he stole money.
Come on.
But there's media bias, and again, it ain't gonna change. But I'll be darned if I ain't gonna recognize and acknowledge it that
Right.
it happens. And that's what we're saying. We're not saying, to thrash him like y'all did Kaepernick, because y'all ain't built for that.
Right.
Now I'm gonna just say that y'all ain't built for that. Brett Favre liable to commit suicide if something happened to him, like what went on with Kaepernick.
Right.
He would need to call positive choices.
Right.
This brother Cap has been fighting and working, and still, when no one even wants to give him a job because he took a stand against something that was wrong, not took a stand against something that was right.
Right.
He stood up for something that was wrong and shouldn't be going on. That brother has been ostracized so much to where nobody wants to be that one to say, look, come on, play for us.
Right.
But you steal money from welfare?
Mm.
I think that if nothing else, we have to pay attention to the bias that the media portrays.
Justice can't be just us.
It can't, but it is.
Justice cannot be just us.
Anybody that's watching this that disagrees, I've always been one to be willing to defend my point.
Come on.
And if anyone that believes Brett Favre got the attention, the recognition for his wrongdoing, you see, that's where in itself that the situation is different. What did Kaepernick do wrong? That's the issue. What did he do wrong? It's not against the law not to stand for the national anthem. It's not against the law. It was an expression of his that he chose to do to bring, light
attention to social injustice, right?
To social injustice. That's what he did. He took some, what was it, Jimmy Smith and Carlos at the Olympics.
Correct.
They with their I should lose my card for not remembering them brothers' name. John Carlos and Jimmy Smith.
There you go.
They just did the same thing. And to be able to say, I'm going to take a stand for some wrongdoing that's going on. I saw a post the other day that said, just say something. And we don't know how profound that really is. Just say something.
Right.
If you see something, say something.
Say something.
Say something. So I think that right now, this whole situation and what's going back and forth in our society has gotten us to a place where, as a podcast, we don't deserve to have this hour if we're not going to point out unfairness. Now, This is something I learned from one of my colleagues at Alcorn, Dr. Antrina Bell, gave me this one years ago. She said, fair ain't equal. We don't want it to be equal because we know it ain't going to be equal. We just want to be fair. And fair means if you steal an apple and you get slapped on the hand, fair is we're going to at least acknowledge you stole an apple. Now, you might not get slapped on the hand because fair ain't equal, but fair is stealing is stealing, is it not?
All right.
Okay. Kaepernick did nothing legally wrong. Brett Favre did something legally wrong, as did Our former president.
Oh, watch yourself. Before you get beside yourself. I know. Go ahead, though.
like my grandpa used to say, stop me when I'm lying.
All right. Go ahead.
Stop me when I'm lying. You take classified documents to your house. And the only thing that I can't take time to address is we got to have one set of rules.
Right.
If Barack Obama had done such a thing, his presidency would be tainted.
That part.
Yeah. I have nothing to say, however, is in my eyes, wrong don't have a color. Wrong is wrong.
Right.
And unfortunately, some people wrong has a color.
Correct.
If you do it, Brother Dupree, it's wrong.
It's really wrong.
If they do it, well, it was just.
Right.
It was just, all it was, well, it ain't no guarantee. You don't have no proof.
Right.
Again, Michael Vick did time in jail.
Hold up. It's almost as bad as the guy from InfoWars who said Sandy Hook was a hoax.
Yes, exactly. As I'm sure if you called one of those parents from the children who were slain at Sandy Hook, the pain in their heart every day is not a hoax.
Come on.
Isn't
it amazing that when it does not fit,
you must
when it does not fit what they want, their agenda. Hold it. This is what amazes me. They talk about us being welfare recipients, which is receiving government aid, but when they get PPP loans, that's what should have happened. They talk about us when we do certain things and say we shouldn't have did it, but when they did it, it should have been justified. Only if they hadn't did XYZ. When they told you to stop, all you had to do was stop.
Now,
it is amazing that when it does not fit the scenario that is most conducive to make them seem like they in the wrong, all of a sudden we got to have an understanding. It ceases to amaze me how people in Katrina floodwaters, when they were black, they were refugees. Ooh. But when they were not black, they were
evacuees.
They were evacuees. Yeah, hold on. So if you're black, you're a refugee. But if you're not black, you're an evacuee. I have no more to say. I rest my case. Back to you, Brother Brown.
Listen, I have people, man, who are of different political parties than me. I have friends who are of different religious, background than I. And I have people who are of different races than me that I consider my family. I do. I have some whites that I'm closer to than some of my real family. And one of the things that we can agree upon, even though we don't agree about a lot of things politically, we can agree that wrong is wrong. That's one of the things that keeps us connected. We can agree that wrong is wrong, no matter who does it. You've never heard me say, I am, I think we should let R. Kelly out of jail because, other people rape children. That brother is sick and he needs help. But he broke the law. I believe that we should, the same way we persecuted Bill Cosby, we never persecuted Woody Allen.
Come on.
And there's some stuff really not right about that situation. I think that as a country, as a moral structure, we need to reevaluate what's going on in our country morally. And more people would want to look at it racially, but I believe we have we have a straight up moral travesty going on in our country. Mm-hmm. from the overturning of Roe versus Wade, from justifying or looking the other way at political wrongdoing. We have to take time to get morally sound again.
Right.
And I think that until we put parties aside, we're not going to understand why we need to get morality back in the forefront of our society. Here's the interesting thing. We saw that documentary that they have on, I had my students do a paper on it, on race in the United States.
Okay.
And one of the things that came out of it, this guy was like, well, I don't think that the slaves really were unhappy because they were treated like family and they wanted to be where they were. Slaves didn't want to leave. And the brother was looking at him so perplexed. He was like, wait a minute. And instead of addressing what he said, he asked the simplest of questions to that brother. He said, so let me ask you one question before I get into what you said. Was slavery wrong? That's all he asked him.
Right.
We ain't going to talk about whether the slaves wanted to be there, whether they was treated like family. But was slavery wrong?
Period.
That's it. And the guy said, yeah, it was wrong. He said, okay, now we can go on with what you said. He said, long as we can go on with he said, so you think the slaves wanted to? Yeah, they was treated like family. I recommend everybody watch that documentary. But I think at this point in this country, what's destroying the moral structure of our country
he froze up. Oh my God. Edward, I need you back. He was about to say something very profound, and hopefully he'll come back because he just froze up. But let me go to a solo mode while he hopefully is unfreezing. One thing I do want to say as we continue to talk about the conversation of everything that's going on, definitely pray for the brothers and the sisters in Florida as they're dealing with the inclement weather. He seems to be unfroze, so I'm going to bring him back now. Okay. Brother, you unfroze. But here's what I was getting ready to go to, and I'm going to pass the mic back to you. Here's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of us. Some of us hate us because it is conducive for us to hate us, because by us hating us, it makes those who don't look like us like you. I hope I didn't shoot over somebody's head with that one, but I'm gonna hit you with that one more again.
I think you got to elaborate on that, brother. That was profound.
See, I'm tired of some of us, black folk. I got the shirt on that says black privilege.
I understand. I like that too.
I'm tired of some of us black folks hating on other black folks, not because necessarily we hate the color of our skin, but by us acting as if we hate other black folks, it makes us friendly to folks who ain't black folks. And because they may have resources, money, and things that they can get to us that we feel like we can't get from our own people, we all of a sudden become what I call the undercover brother when it comes down to being around our folk, and we run back to other folks trying to be tattletales and say how much we can't stand our own people in order to be accepted by people who ain't our people. We got a lot of folk who do that.
Yeah.
And that to me is a real sickness, because it's a sickness when all of a sudden you want to be all good when you're in the hood, but when you ain't in the hood, you one of the first people trying to tell
trash
folks,
the hood.
I can't stand how they act. I made a statement on social media. I'm gonna back up as soon as I finish this one. The problem with a lot of the folk I know is you want to be a millionaire who can walk into a store with an EBT card and still use it. With that, I'm out. It's on you, brother Edward. It's on you.
You having too many of these drop the mic moments, man. I'm telling you, these drop the mic moments are serious. We can't. It goes back to what we're really talking about, and that is us as people morally. And morally is just our connection with right and wrong, our connection with good and bad. Wrong is wrong no matter who does it. Here's the interesting thing. let's kind of get a little deeper into this moral structure that we deal with in our, I look at a lot of folks who consider themselves, we made it. We made it. What do you mean you made it? Well, like Brother Dupree say, we got the Mercedes Benz and we live in the gated communities and, we can wear the latest fashions. I don't have no problems with people who made it. My problem is with folks who made it, that now you look down on the folks who came from where you were. See, because I like potted meat. We talked about that before. I'll grab some crackers if I just need a snack, and thank God, because I ate a lot of it when I didn't have. But I've never looked at someone differently because they didn't have what I have. Because there's people that I don't have what they have. Now, we're not talking about just monetarily. I had the opportunity and the pleasure several years ago for Brother Dyson to come to Alcorn. And I remember when we were talking and he was saying, it's always interesting to come and speak to the young kids because so many of them tell me I aspire to be where you are one day. And he always said what I even told my kids. I ain't doing everything I'm doing for you to be where I am. I'm doing everything I'm doing for you to surpass me. But we have a tendency to look down on folks who are on the level that we used to be on. And that's a moral deficit as well. Because my grandfather, who was a great man in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes, my grandfather told me something that's tattooed on my heart. He said, if you define yourself by what you have, the moment you don't have nothing, you're going to feel like nothing.
Right.
So you never define yourself by what you have. And I was like, okay. So I wore my Fox that came from JCPenney with the same pride that I wear my Lacoste today. I wore it because it didn't define who I was. And we have to start to say, you may be my people, but that's wrong. Because you brought up the PPP thing. The thing that broke my heart was last year, they put it in the newspaper. People that were under investigation for PPP fraud. They broadcasted that in the newspaper. And I'm saying, now why would they do that? But wrong is wrong.
Right.
That's why we're looking at this Brett Favre situation with the microscope, because they looked at, Michael Vick and Bill Cosby and R. Kelly and Kaepernick and the brother, I got to remember this brother's name from Boston. They looking at these guys with microscopes.
Right.
Reggie Bush and all of the players who've ever done
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. My thing is be morally sound and get a clear across the board definition of what is wrong. Because you've never heard me say wrong is white or wrong is black. Wrong is wrong.
Right.
Wrong ain't Hispanic. It ain't Asian. It's wrong. And until we start to do that in this country, we're going to morally struggle and we're going to stay divided.
Correct.
This divisiveness this country has not been this divided since civil rights. This country is civil war, civil rights, and here we are repeating it again in 2022 with the divisiveness. We have women not, feeling great with men because they feel this whole Roe versus Wade overturning was done by men. So we have to start getting back to repairing the moral structure of this country before we start to do any race repairing, because this ain't a race issue, it's a moral issue.
Correct.
You see it every day in dealing with, we shouldn't have a problem with white police officers stopping black people. If it's a problem, it should be police officers stopping people.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But we don't. We turn a moral issue into a racial issue. Now, some of us got racial problems now. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Hold it. And we can really be real about that. Let me jump in here on the camera and let y'all understand why. I am amazed with the Little Mermaid coming out.
Oh, wow. I heard about that.
And a young lady of color playing the Little Mermaid, that people say, well, you can't change the race of a character.
Yeah.
So I hate to do this to folks right now and tonight, and I'm just going to let this marinate with you for a second. I recall that there's a person that was born in Bethlehem. And if you actually trace his actual lineage down, earthly lineage, you will go and see people who look like him, but what those people look like and what he is depicted as is two different things.
Well,
see, because I've been to some Middle Eastern countries, and not saying there's not some there, but there's very few that look like he is depicted when you see him. Well, so yeah, I had to go there, and somebody said, "Oh, you went there." See, this is once again things, Miss Carolyn, Miss Brown, Miss Brown. They only are pregnant when the person that is being spoke about or spoken to is the person in power. See, that's the crazy thing. We're not talking about Brett Favre because the people who control the media and the narrative that are in power look like Brett Favre.
That's right. But,
but see, the people who were in power when it came down to Michael Vick didn't look like Michael Vick. Nope. See, that's why I tell
Deshaun Watson.
We got to really wake up and understand this. Just because you're listening to black radio don't mean you're listening to black-owned radio. Just because you're watching black TV, not meaning that you're looking at black-owned TV. So sometimes you really need to ask yourself, who and what are they trying to say to you? Let me stop, man, before somebody swear to God that Farrakhan done got in touch with me. Let me back up, Jack.
Well,
back up, Jack, and let's get back to listen up, family. We are truly here to help y'all with y'all mental health. We are here to help you. We are here. Hold it, Brother Brown. I'm jumping off, and it's all on you.
Hey, no, man. Listen, I mean, I got to stay with that, dude, because we're talking about the moral construct of this country. But let's look at the Little Mermaid issue. We are talking about a child movie, a children's movie. Do you believe little white girls or little black girls will not want to go see that movie because Ariel is black? All they're going to want to do is sing the songs under the sea. They're going to want to sing the songs. It's the parents that ain't going to want to go buy that little black mermaid doll after the movie. We teach our children hate. We teach them hate. They don't grow up that way. I mean, they aren't born that way. The Little Mermaid, hell, I was very shocked when they made the genie Will Smith in Aladdin.
I hate to do it, but I got to. Keep talking.
Uh-oh. See, so my thing is we have to stop worrying about petty stuff. We started this whole podcast talking about pettiness. My thing is, I got a t-shirt that I should have wore, and it says, if Jesus looked like me, would you still believe in him? And my thing is, we have to get to the point where we are worrying about the pettiest of things. These children today need something to take their mind off of being afraid to go to school because of a mass shooting. You think they care if Ariel is black? They care about if the man down the street got an AR-15.
Come on.
That's what they're afraid of. Not Ariel is black. You as their parent care about that. My daughter made me watch that doggone movie 50,000 times.
Thank you, sir.
You think I cared whether or not Ariel was black or white? I just didn't want to see it anymore.
Because I went to sleep underneath the sea.
Under the sea. You know, I know when our father going to kill himself a crab. That's what our father going to do. I know the whole dialogue of the movie. My daughter didn't care that Ariel was white. Or if she wasn't even really white, she was brown, beige, or whatever. Children don't care. That brings me back to my point tonight. We got a moral issue. We got a moral deficit in this country.
Come on.
We're boycott, you know, the movie because of the Ariel is black.
Come on.
Let me tell you something. If Jesus was pink, my advice to you is accept him as your savior. That's my advice to you. Right. Accept him as the head of your life so that you can have eternal life. That's all I got. Pink, blue, brown, whatever it is.
Antennas on his head.
It don't matter. You better accept. So my thing is, we worry about the smallest, and we're so petty as humans, and we put forth our petty thinking. And to me, that is the thing that irritates me the most about this country. The greatest country in the world? No, because we got homeless people who defended this country, homeless military people, homeless veterans. We go to communist countries, Cuba, and Cuba got free health care. Our neighbors in Canada got free health care.
Come on.
They got free education. They can go to college for free.
Come on.
So I think we're going to stop this the greatest country in the world thing because we got some work to do.
Well, let me say this, because I have took an oath. Mm-hmm. There was a time I manned a post. I had a weapon in my hand and I defended this country with my life.
Thank you, my brother. I thank you
with my life. Now, I know when y'all see the movies, y'all don't see us in the movies. Mm-hmm. I understand that. Mm-hmm. I understand that y'all feel like the only folk who have ever fought for this country didn't look like us. Well, but let me tell you something. There's a lot of folk that look like us who are generals, who are rangers, who are special forces, who are Navy SEALs. I can give you a list of us that do big things, but they never show us in the movies. But with that being said, let me say the following. There's no place I'd rather be. However, you got to live up to what you put down on paper. Hold it. I got to say it like King said it. You got to live up, America, to what you wrote on paper. Now, we got to be real about it. When it was wrote on paper, you didn't see us as a part of this thing.
What did it say? We the people? You weren't talking about us.
No. You weren't talking about us. So look, we got to call it what it is. Because now I done got to the point in my life, I'm calling balls and strikes. You ain't got to like me, but I'm going to call balls and strikes because one day I got to stand before somebody I believe created me. And guess what? At least he can say, you may not have got it right from 0 to about 49. But 49 until the day you went home, you were calling balls and strikes. So we got to wake up because here's the problem. The problem starts with us. If you don't know who you are and whom you are, you can never know where you're going because anybody can tell you anything and lead you in any direction. See, too many of y'all caught up with having these shiny trinkets and you don't understand. You literally selling your soul for something you can't even take to the other side. I had to say it. Black folks stop doing it other black folks to make white folk happy.
You know, we have to get to the point now where we start to say, this is who I am.
Come on.
This is what I'm about. And that calls for you to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of you.
Come on.
But right here today, we have, in order for us to deal with some of the things that's happening to our children, to our community, we're talking about on a micro, a meso, and a macro level. We need to start looking at what's going on. And for me, it's the moral deterioration of this country that's causing the divisiveness that we have today. We can't come together and agree that wrong is wrong for everybody.
Right.
Wrong is wrong for some people, and for other people, we can look the other way.
Right.
That's why we're divided.
Hold it. Some folk can shoot up a school and get a hamburger and a Coke and a meal and good conversation, while other folk who will legally be carrying a gun say, hold up, I just want to show you my license. No, you shouldn't have reached for it. Now you're dead.
Correct. Or you get killed by a civilian with you have a bag of Skittles and an iced tea.
Come on.
Or you have a 16-year-old that's dropped off by his mother who can kill folks, and now he's a celebrity.
Right.
We have to look at morally what's jacked up and call it jacked up.
That's it.
Deshaun Watson was villainized, and he was a womanizer, and my thing is, if that brother did it, then he should be held accountable. Correct. And I believe the man, if you yellow or white or blue or green or whatever color you are, if you do wrong, you need to be held accountable. Correct. And that's what we don't do. You see, correct. And we can't avoid topics because we don't feel comfortable about it. I understand slavery makes white people feel uncomfortable, but it's a part of this country's history.
Correct.
So if you want to forget about slavery, why are you out here fussing and fighting about these monuments being taken down? Aren't you the one that said, why don't we get over it? Stop talking about it. Right. Okay, then let's stop talking about Robert E. Lee and George Washington and Andrew Jackson and all of these other folks. Let's stop talking. If we're going to erase Black history, let's erase history all the way down the chain, because we was here from the beginning.
Correct.
So I think that ain't what you really want. You just want to have conversations that you don't feel uncomfortable about. You know what I'm saying? And that's a moral issue. So today we took, a turn where we talked about this young brother who lost his family. And I don't think it's a separate issue regarding morality, because morality says in a situation like this, we have someone that's hurting. We should reach out and take care of him. That's what morally is the right thing to do. The same way if you were in a neighborhood 40 years ago and someone died, the neighborhood brought food. That's where the repast came from. The family didn't have to get food together. It came from the people in the neighborhood, brought a pie, a plate of beans, and then we had food and we helped that family grieve the loss of a loved one. But now we have people who don't even know one another and don't want to know one another. I think that we are at the point morally in this country where we have to take a stand and make some changes, or we're going to continuously see this country fall farther and farther down the chain in regards to what it is to be a healthy society. Our society is sick. It's struggling. It's definitely damaged, and we have to repair it. And the only way to repair it is to repair it morally. So I challenge everybody today. I know I got some issues in myself that I got to get over and make some changes morally to people that I just, don't like or didn't do something right or wronged me. And yeah, I'm working on me. I'm a work in progress. But I can say wrong, I did wrong with this, or that was wrong. And until we start, picking up our own gauntlet and saying, hey, I see you, that's wrong, don't do that, we're going to struggle. Brother Dupree, this podcast gives us that medium to reach people and challenge people and hold people accountable. And they may look at us and say, them dudes get rowdy. Yeah, because we're passionate about what we're talking about.
Correct. And we hold it. And since we own it, guess what? We can do this. So start being about ownership. The reason I posted this young man's picture back up here And I just want to take time out for this. Listen, y'all, pray for this young man. He lost his mother and his sister. And now he's still at school, still trying to finish school, still playing for the Alcorn Braves, and still moving on with life, even though I'm sure a big part of his life that can never come back is now gone.
It's gone. That's right.
So keep the young man in prayer. And let's just be real, as me and Brother Brown come back on this. Keep everybody in prayer, because everybody going through something.
Tell me about it. These folks in Florida are afraid.
Everybody going through something.
These folks are, people in Jackson are suffering.
Come on, everybody going through something.
Every time it's a hurricane, people in New Orleans, they go through trauma.
Right, flashback,
PTSD. That's right.
Yeah,
so
PTSD.
I think we need to get back, and we need to start praying, and we need to start looking out for one another.
Right.
And we need to start being our brother's keeper.
Amen.
And letting our brothers know that we care. So
Amen.
We always say it, brother, before we always leave. You know, I always say, if nobody else told you today, we love you. Peace. We see y'all next week, man.